Welcome to the 4 Habits podcast, where we help you build relationships that thrive at home, at work, and in life. We're Dr. Andrea and John Taylor-Cummings, and every week we bring you actionable insights to create meaningful connections and lasting success. So let's dive in.
Bringing belief into action. How do we create alignment in ourselves, in our relationships, and actually experience and bring to life the dreams that we hold dear? That's core to the conversation we'll be having. And in the studio with us today is Scott Haug. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you so much for having me, John and Andrea. Really appreciate this.
We're looking forward to diving into the conversation, but as the audience knows, we need to give you your proper introduction. So, John, why not share the bio?
That we do. Okay, so Scott Haug is an international manifestation mentor and founder of the Accelerated Manifestation Method, a system that helps individuals create extraordinary shifts in their personal and professional lives. Once a mechanical engineer struggling with burnout and dissatisfaction, Scott transformed his reality using the very tools he now teaches, merging science, spirituality, and universal laws. Today, he works with entrepreneurs, coaches, and driven professionals ready to break free from limitations and create abundance in all areas of life. Through his high-impact online programs and YouTube content, Scott empowers his audience to unlock their potential, build confidence, and manifest a life filled with purpose. At the heart of Scott's message is the belief that strong relationships and alignment with self are key to sustainable success. A message that resonates deeply with professionals seeking both achievement and harmony, whether guiding people to higher income levels or to inner peace. Scott's work is a testament to what's possible when belief meets action. So we want to dive in and we want to pick up on the whole concept of manifestation. And so, Scott, tell us, what is the biggest myth that you've come across about manifestation that you wish maybe more people understood?
Yeah, one big myth I see chronically over and over is law of attraction doesn't work for me. And so when people get started in this area of personal development, self-improvement, we'll often see a little spike of something changing in our life. We'll start to sense like, I feel different about me, or I'm starting to think a little bit differently. But then I want the results to come in. I want my money to increase. I want some good things happening in my life in terms of material results.
And so when you say, just backing up for a second, when you say law of attraction, even for those who aren't familiar with that, what exactly do you mean by that? When you say it doesn't work?
Absolutely. So law of attraction, or even manifesting, is the idea of bringing the invisible, your thought, your vision, your intention, into reality. So you see it. So you see it in your imagination, and now we can see it as a result in your life. Idea is attracting in what you want, or manifesting in what you want from a place that seems to be intangible, like your imagination overall.
So you dream about something and then you make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And action is a part of that process, and we can go through that. But that myth is that process I just talked about doesn't work. I can't bring my thoughts to reality. There's no way this stuff is actually real, right? Those are the biggest stumbling blocks, or at least limitations that we think about, that creates very much a lot of resistance when we're trying to actually use this law of attraction idea.
And you mentioned science, spirituality, and what was the third one? Science, spirituality, and universal laws into the work that you do. How do you combine, you're a mechanical engineer by training. How did you even bring those three things together? And we spoke earlier, you even mentioned quantum physics. So help us understand how those three come together in the work that you're doing now.
Yeah. So a little background story. I got into engineering and went to university for it because I was good at math and science. So naturally, when you're in high school, you're trying to find a career. People ask you, what are you good at? Go do that thing.
Yep.
And I didn't even know
I can put my hand up for that as well. Same thing.
Right. Exactly. So I didn't even know what engineering really was. I just knew like, okay, I can make a pretty good salary. That sounded pretty good in high school. Like, oh, I can make some money. And then this might be easy for me. So I did very well in university and got a corporate job that was like an actual advanced managerial opportunity that I was growing into very quickly, very prestigious. But being in that corporate job for 6 months, I felt like my soul was dying.
Wow.
And at that point, there was something inside me that said, this is not it. I didn't know what was next for my life, but there was a couple of things I always found very curious. Number one, the invisible. And number two, I remember always, like, my parents had an old hot tub. We'd sit on the deck, and at nighttime, I'd look at the stars and I'd be so curious about what's out there. What is this life about? What are we doing here? And so I started to follow those curiosities. And what popped up, I remember going into a bookstore one time. I never read any books. Even in college, I did so well, but I never read any textbooks. And so I went into this bookstore just because it was on the way to something. And I was like, I'm going to go pick up a book. It felt great to maybe pick up an inspiring book for some reason. And that was a part of the curiosity as well. So I started to dive into that world of Think and Grow Rich, understanding habits, changing your mindset. And so something clicked after about a month or two of that says I can bring my science background in understanding chemistry and physics, the ideas of laws of motion, Newtonian physics on, okay, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And also this mindset side. And then I started listening into more quantum physics, that the invisible side is actually now being proven that our thoughts are going to influence reality. So it really came across as a journey of all these different interests, and then saying one day, this has all got a link somehow, and starting to do like a study of it and really understanding it. So that's how I started to bring all those elements together. And it's really created a holistic way of changing your life. It's not just about the metaphysical, spiritual, esoteric concepts, but it's also tangible. What can we do today that will create a practical change in our life? What does that look like? And that's really where the journey started.
And I love your use of the word alignment, because I know we can self-sabotage by saying we're going to do something or we want to achieve something, but the narrative on the inside totally contradicts everything that we're saying.
Yeah.
And you mentioned alignment in relationships and in yourself. Can you tell us some more about that side of your work?
Yes. So part of what I do is deep trauma healing, and I'll do this with clients in my one-on-one capacity, because if we can get on a session, I can understand where your sabotage voice comes from. We can change it if we know where it's come from. So what I like to look at this is, we are in wholeness. That's who we are as a soul living this body. We're a presence, we're a spirit, we're something beyond this body and mind. And we are either more of that wholeness or less, in simplistic terms. It's kind of like we have a hose and the water's going through, and it's like, wow, this is great water pressure, it's coming out. Or the hose, it has that kink in it and it's dribbling out. So we either have that spirit all flow or just a little bit. I believe when we have that sabotage voice, it's coming from a childhood trauma where somebody or something was experienced that created a story about me and my world. So let's do an example. If I was running a business and I wanted to get to my first 10,000 a month, that's so great. I want freedom. That would do so much for my life. But the voice inside says, there's no way you can do that. Or the voice inside says, you know what, go do the laundry instead of your marketing, right? All these crazy voices going on. Where does that stem from? And it's because 10,000 a month most likely doesn't feel safe in my nervous system, not my mind, my nervous system. And so the sabotage comes in to say, I need you to be safe. Laundry is more safe than earning 10,000 a month, because maybe I was trained at an early age. Those rich people over there aren't so good. Oh, money's evil in some sort of way. Now, these are ridiculous beliefs. None of that's true. But the sabotage voice, if we can find that, now we can say, let's tweak and revise it. So I believe strongly alignment is, how much connectedness do you have inside, or how little do you do? And when you have a little bit, you don't have a lot of happiness. You feel a lot of chaos, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And that's coming from the disconnection from who you really are, I believe.
So I'm curious. You're sitting with a client, and it's clear that they are they have a lot of sabotage, or they have had in their life going on. Where do you begin to help them unpack and understand where that sabotage is coming from? How do you find the kink in the hose, I guess is the question there.
Yeah, it's kind of like finding a puzzle and all the puzzle pieces are all over the place.
Mhm.
But you do have a diagram, and that kind of helps you. Okay, there's a blue over here, a blue over here, and we can start connecting. So
Mhm.
that's what I think of this as a fun puzzle to put together. I do it in 3 steps. The first one is looking at what's that picture? Where do they want to go? Where do they want to be? And also, what's a recurring challenge going on in their life? I believe whatever you're recurringly seeing in your world is your next layer of healing that needs to be done. So what is that recurring challenge that's coming in? We'll find that first. Maybe it's a recurringly, I don't feel worthy. Every time I try something, I'm not worthy. Every time I'm trying to do something, I'm feeling this way. Second, once we find the recurring theme, what is it creating feeling wise inside you? I feel really frustrated. I feel really that word unworthy. I feel very stuck. Okay, what does that feel like? I feel inadequate. I feel unsuccessful. Once we pinpoint that feeling, now we can go into when did you feel a similar way in childhood? Now, 2 people usually have 2 different clients. One will know immediately, and one will say, I can't remember anything from childhood. And that's okay. When those that say, I can't remember anything, it's a disassociation, which was created because it was so traumatizing or there was something going on that seemed so perfect, but they said, I don't want to remember that in their psyche. Yeah, so we do another modality to get there. But finally, when we're in this step 3, when we know we found a memory, I always felt unworthy when my father always criticized me over and over and over. I remember at 7 years old doing this and I was criticized. Now we're on to something. Once we've pinpointed that memory, and I do it intuitively with them, it all comes through spirit. We'll go there and we'll revise it. Because it's not the stuff that's happened to us that matters. It's the meaning we created out of it. And a brief example, really quick. I had a client that every time they played board games, they were the youngest sibling, and they had a couple older siblings. They lost every time because they were like 5 years old, and their older siblings always just wanted to win, right? They might have been 8 and 12 years old. That could have just been a thing. Oh, I lost at the game because I was so young. Instead, he took it on, I'm never enough, and I'm a loser. I can never win at anything. Now
Wow.
he's 5 years old. He took that meaning on. Later on, he was 50, 45 years later, still feeling the same way from something that happened at 5. Now, most people want to say that's not trauma. It's not something crazy abuse that happened, but it was because the meaning created out of it.
Mm.
What we did, we went there, we found that, we changed the meaning. We changed it to the reality. I was 5 years old.
Mm.
They were older. Yeah, I probably wasn't going to win. Now it's released. And now there's no emotion tied to the memory, and it no longer has that voice within. So you go through that level, and it's like, wow, I just healed 45 years of all this stuff in 20 minutes.
Mm.
How did I not know about this before? It's huge.
I'm curious though. Just a quick question, if I may, just to continue on that thread. Do you have a particular challenge working with men in this space, though, with guys? Because a lot of guys will say, "Look, I don't know how I feel. It just is feelings. What's
Yeah.
that? Is that a particular challenge for you, and how do you overcome it?"
It's such a great question, 100%. When I work co-ed on both genders, and both female, male, masculine energies, feminine energies, regardless of gender, right? When we're in that field, it's always very easy for somebody that's already intuitive to come in. They can start healing in the first month. It's crazy rapid speed. It goes quick. Those who are more in the masculine energy, more logical, not really used to their feelings, we usually have to take the first month and just dial into sensing. How do I feel right now? Instead of asking how I feel, I say, what are you sensing in the body? I'm sensing tension in my shoulders. Good. Now we can start there. Now we're bringing awareness to their body, and now they can start labeling those as certain feelings. But what I also do with this is start creating a mental side and logical healing side as well. So it's not always emotions that have to come through. You can actually go into the psyche and say, well, let's go back to that Monopoly memory. You don't even have to know how you feel, but let's just go back through any memories you have. Doesn't matter what it is. I remember going to the first day of school. Tell me how it was. You know, we walk there, you rode a bus. So we'll just go back to any memories they have without thinking about the emotion. And I will have to do the work for them on sensing, was that actually the way you remember it? Or was there
Mm.
something bad about it? So they might have said, my childhood was perfect. But then when we really go back, well, my father traveled or my mother traveled all the time. They were never present. Say, so you felt loved, but emotionally you wanted more because they weren't present. So I go in there and kind of do the doctor approach. I'll kind of do the operation on them. And then they
Mhm.
start opening that awareness. It's a great question because that does happen a lot.
I tell you what, that's a great service to be doing now in a world where the emotions
Yeah.
are screaming, but not being
Mm.
not able to be articulated, and therefore they don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
Um, there was a question I was going to ask earlier, but I love the way you've given us a new vocabulary to talk about feelings for the more masculine energy, as you
Mm.
describe it. Talk about sensing instead, and that's amazing. Have you noticed? I'm guessing post COVID, with all the noise and constant change and uncertainty and anxiety, have you noticed an increase in the need for this kind of work of alignment? Do you find that, the demand is more, or people come to you not knowing what's missing, but things have shifted in the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, there's a great line I think that embodies 2020 and onward, and that is there's a whisper inside that something feels just not quite right.
Hmm.
And I have a lot of clients that will come in, even they found me through YouTube or something, and they come in there like, I've been watching content more because I feel like something inside is just not quite right. And what I like to correlate that with is there's an awakening happening, I believe, in the world. A lot more people are conscious now. That's why I even see a lot more healthy habits with eating, right?
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
that people are just more conscious of what am I doing in my life and does it feel good or does it not? And so for over the last couple of years, since really a 2020 time period, really 5 years, I've been noticing that a lot of people come in with already a higher level of awareness and a higher level of desire to change. So it's kind of like going back to the concept. If there's a lot of contrast of what we don't want, it provides us a lot of understanding of what we do want. So I believe even with all the stress and the changing of emotions and how much is going on in the world, the amount of contrast is also equally helping people wake up faster and easier with more expansion. And so when we dive into that, I would be like, this is great because your transformation is going to go even quicker with the higher level of awareness. I believe the more aware you are coming into a healing, to a transformation, to developing yourself, the faster you're going to collapse that time period between you and the peace you're looking for. So I think
Yeah.
that's been happening the last few years.
And
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think 2020 really was the year of awakening, in the sense that people became a lot more conscious of what is my life really about, who and what are the things that really matter. How do I want to do life differently going forward? But I want to build on that point about awakening and consciousness, because as a Christian, there's a lot of what you're saying resonates strongly, because there are verses like, write the vision down plainly, that those who see it can run with it, or as a man thinks, so is he. And if
Yeah.
you commit your plans to the Lord, your actions will succeed, or the other way around. If you commit your actions to the Lord, your plans will succeed. There are a lot of promises that could turbocharge the results using the methods that you described. Is that
Yeah.
something that you've observed? How do you kind of see this being worked out for those who come with much more of a spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
especially, the Christian faith?
Yeah, I have a lot of clients ranging from all major religions in the world. And what I always say is that keep your beliefs and faith growing even more with understanding more and more of these modalities, because I really believe that there's a common through line where as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, is really the idea of as I am in my subconscious, so will my world be.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
we look at these lines and phrases and really say, how can I meditate on this line? What does it really mean? What does it mean for my life? How can I alter my life? How can I shift it? There's a great author and mystic, Neville Goddard, and he references the Bible and everything and relates it back to how we can create results in our life. Amazing mystic.
Mhm.
And so I think that it all really comes down to, as I see my identity as, mirrors in my world. So whatever my self-concept, in other words, identity, in other words, what I feel myself to be today, is what I start to witness in the consciousness of the world. So if I believe myself to be a very healthy individual, I most likely have automatic habits that create healthiness, right? Like we were talking before, I was on travel to Germany last week, and since I've lived these healthy habits for so long, I naturally am always going to find healthier foods, healthier ways of living, hydrating myself, etc. But I also went with some other people that you could just tell their habits that they're not like that. They want to go and grab the fast food. I'm on a trip. I don't have a lot of time, but I'll say I'll make the time to go and have a 20-minute meal instead of a 5-minute to get the healthier food option, right? So I think these modalities are saying, really, whatever identity you have is what's going to start happening in the world more. And so if you bring your heart more to the people you serve and to yourself, if you bring more love to you and the people around you, you'll start to have more love being optional and open and probable in your world coming in. So I think everything really ties together very well, whether Christian faith or any other faith.
Yeah.
I'm listening here, and a lot of it is landing and resonating, and I'm understanding what you're saying. But I'm guessing there are going to be some people out there in the audience who will be more traditionalist, perhaps, and coming from a background where they're saying, "Get real, guys. This sounds like there's really,
Hocus pocus.
hocus pocus. You're dreaming about stuff is going to happen. It's all woo woo stuff." What do you say to people like that? I guess the cynics who say that's not reality. There's a whole lot of stuff out there, but how do you make that stuff happen here? What's your comeback to that? How do you have examples that you demonstrate? How do you respond to that when people come with that? And maybe do you have any examples of converting some of those people, getting them to see the light of what you're talking about?
Yeah. First and foremost, I always say thank you for being skeptical. I think that's a great trait, because if you just randomly always believe in everything you hear, obviously that's how things don't happen so well. And that's like, oh, this scam happened, or this crypto thing wasn't the real thing that I want, right? So I think it's really healthy to be skeptical, as long as it's open-minded skepticism. Because when we're closed-minded, this phone that we almost all have would have never happened. If we even think 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and we said, I'm going to be able to call anyone in the world nearly, and not only am I going to hear them, I'm going to see them on video near instantaneously with them. Doesn't matter if they're 3,000 miles away. They'd be like, you're ridiculous. Hocus pocus. Sci-fi.
Yeah. What do you mean video?
Right, exactly. What does that even mean, right? So when we see these things, I believe that black and white skepticism is a form of a coping mechanism that says, at one time I was open-minded, I was a dreamer, I used to believe in different things, but I was shut down so many times by somebody or something that I want to protect myself from feeling that way again, because disappointment is not fun to feel, right? So if I believe in something and then it doesn't work out, it's like another thing that didn't pull through. Yeah. So first and foremost, I think it's healthy, but what can we do to create some open-mindedness? And here's what I relate it to right away, is that manifestation law of attraction, we don't just talk ethereal, I talk action too. What's practical about this? So let's bring it in a practical way. It's an easy first step for anybody who feels very skeptical or just, I don't know, this hocus pocus is a little woo-woo, it's a little too much, yeah? Practical, down to earth, 3 steps. First one is have a vision and at least start there. That's easy. Having a vision makes sense, right? If I am at a dead-end job I don't like, but I don't even have an intention for something good, where am I going, right? So what if I just start with an intention? Well, I would like a new job. Okay, what would that be? What kind of salary would you want? What would you work at? How many hours? So let's just start practical. What would I want if I could change my life into something better? Just one aspect. And second, start with action. Don't even worry about mindset or anything else. Just start with action. What would I need to do today to get closer to that goal? Easy enough. Have a resume, right? Easy enough. Send my resume out. These are practical ideas that I think anybody would agree with. And then 3, you can start easing yourself into the invisible, saying, what do I need to believe to actually have that happen? Well, I need to believe that jobs are out there for me. Number 2, I need to believe that I can quit my old job and something better can happen in my life. And that will ease you into this whole mindset and ethereal, esoteric concepts we talk about. You start practical and action first, and you're like, okay, well, I'm seeing that I changed my thought and I thought about what I did want, and I took an action about what I did want, and I did goal setting, and that is starting to work. And now I'm changing my belief system. I'm starting to believe differently about me. I'm starting to feel more confident. That's working. Okay, now what else? Oh, the synchronicity happens. That was kind of, I don't know, I'll call it random coincidence. But that person called me out from that job. I never even put a resume out, but they heard my name from this person who referred me over to this, to this. We'll call it coincidence for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way of starting the entry process of unsureness about any of this.
Yeah.
That's a great practical example. And, in the work that we do in behavior change, we talk about the belief cycle as well, because every action that you take was first a thought and then a feeling that caused you to take that action. So if you want to do different actions, different behaviors, let's examine what you're feeling and what's the thought that you're having that's creating that feeling. And, looking at the thoughts and asking yourself honestly, is that really true? Where did that thought come from? Which is very much aligned with what you're saying.
Yes.
For relationships specifically, what do you find is like the number one obstacle or challenge that you help people deal with or overcome, whether in their mindset or in habits? What are you seeing?
So this is very counterintuitive often and just a little different than the usual path you hear. But what I help my clients do is train them to see their partner, their spouse, whoever they're in a relationship with, is one of their greatest teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people start with like, what does that even mean? How they're not my teacher, right? And all this, and we'll go down this road of let's take a step back for a moment. And I believe relationships are a great training ground for growth and expansion. And so it's not just about love and creating family and having a companion in your life and all the beautiful aspects of a relationship, but also if we can add in growth and evolution, you're there to help grow each other and expand each other to a higher level. Even if your partner isn't growth oriented, you can still have them doing their things that might trigger you. I was talking to a client the other day, and when she's making dinner, her husband's sitting at the table looking at his cell phone. And she doesn't really like that, and it's triggering, but she doesn't know how to come across or how to say it or what to do. And so what we want to do is take a step back and say, what's inside of me happening right now? So if I'm triggered and I'm feeling a little frustrated, I can't blame my frustration on him because my feelings are my own.
Mm-hmm.
What inside of me is being triggered? Oh, well, you know what? I feel disrespected. Ooh, now we're onto something. Now we see the growth. So it's not him doing it. I can actually realize what's going on inside first, right? And then second, we look at how is he puzzle piecing perfectly with that trigger? Oh, well, every time he does this exact thing, it's recurring. It's puzzle piecing with that healing that I was needing. Now we heal it, and now something healthily can be done. Not to just say you could do whatever you want all the time, but it's like, how can I now have this beautiful conversation about it, but not in blame, but now ownership and responsibility, right? So my clients will start to really get into this, and they're like, things are changing so quick because now I'm changing the dance. I'm changing the puzzle piece. And that's manifesting in its own right because a lot of my clients will come in and say, I want this beautiful relationship. I want it to be in harmony. I want this amazing stuff to be happening. I'm like, okay, great. You have to become that person now. So let's work on that. And then the dynamic starts to change. So that's one thing with relationships that's tough to own, but it's huge.
Yeah, but I want to build on that. That if that's where you're going, but I want to build on that one. What does that example look like in real terms? So you say the situation here, the woman is there doing the cooking. I think in this one you said it was a husband who was sitting there, partner was sitting there on his cell phone.
Yeah.
Where does she begin? What does she say to him to help him to get to understand that actually this is triggering me. This isn't ideal. What kind of things do you say? How do you address that?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, the healing, I believe, needs to be taken place first, because when she has that conversation, if she's not healed, it'll go in a very you-oriented thing, right?
I'm not liking this. You're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, right. You're on your phone. I can't believe it. And then you start attacking the identity. You always do this, right? We stack
exactly.
these things up, right? So first we do the healing. After the healing, though, here would be the approach. It's like, I feel really good about this. And now it's like, hey, whatever, the person's name would be. So I'll use a name here would be, I'd love to sit down and really talk through a couple of things. Do you have a little bit of time here, 15, 20 minutes to go ahead and do so? So you create a container, you create this space for it. And once you have this space, there's so many different modalities out there that will allow you to go in the I form and knowing how to structure this. But a brief example that we talk with clients is when I'm making dinner, I'm feeling like I'd love to have more connection. And I would love us to be able to be a whole family, because I have kids as well, and everyone may be coordinating together this. And so I see at the moment when I'm making dinner, you're at the phone or you're at the table with your phone using that in there and maybe just not completely present. So I'd like to understand a little bit more. What's the phone mean to you? What are you doing there? And we actually got down the bottom of it. He's had a long work day. He comes in, gives her a big hug and says, I need a little time to dissipate. And it's a very masculine approach. It's going to my cave and saying, hey, I just need a little bit of time to be not mindful and just kind of sit, allow myself to reset.
So modern day cage is the phone now.
Yes. Yeah. So now it's like, I understand you. Now I'm not blaming you. I understand you. And now I can have empathy. You had such a long day. Yeah. Go ahead and do your thing. Of course. Like, I want to support you in that. What about after 20 minutes or so, you could join us as a family and we all coordinate together and have a beautiful family. We'll go ahead and turn on some music and do some things. Would that be possible for you? Yeah, I think that would be okay. Maybe give me 30 minutes though, because 20 minutes is a little fast, right? So now the conversation becomes not an attack of character or triggering. It becomes a collaboration, but I'm coming from empathy and understanding rather than I am guessing you're on the phone because you don't care. Completely different assumption of the reality that's happening.
And, it sounds wonderful and perfect. And it's exactly like we would like to have conversations. But that demands a whole lot of emotional maturity.
Well, you said you got to get healed first, right?
To recognize what's happening in you, to own it, to deal with it, and then from a place of being content with your own needs, having a conversation to extend generosity to somebody else. That's a whole lot of grown-up stuff, Scott.
That is. And, going back to the healing, I have a lot of clients that their partner spouses are not growth oriented. So they're growing and they try and have a conversation like that, and the conversation does not go well, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do in that case? I tell them, focus on you, because the more you're focused on having them change, the more you are actually co-enmeshed with their trauma. It's a trauma bond. It's not just love. There's something else going on there. So I say, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but use this as a catalyst to become your best version. After doing this for many months and you've tried everything that you possibly could to have that conversation, then it's a different conversation that might need to be had about whether you feel in your soul, in your heart, do I want to continue in this partnership, or maybe I need to leave because of our respect for myself, right? So you have that conversation later, but it's this, don't worry about changing them. And if the conversation doesn't go well, you've already done something different and you are now more healed. And really 9 times out of 10, as you change the dance, the partner goes with it. It'll be like, okay, I understand. Or maybe after the fifth time of you doing your healing, after 5 weeks, you've changed it so much. They're like, wow, I really like that you and the kids are jamming out to some music and having fun. Like, what are you guys doing again? Right? So allow that person their own timeline to heal, to transform, and just focus on you.
Yeah, very much in line with, we always say you can't change the other person anyway. You can only change yourself. And I love the way you describe, because we talk about it between us as well. It's like, sometimes I don't want John to be my teacher, but effectively he is, because whatever it is that I need to learn next is what will come up in our next argument, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And as you said, a couple relationship, and this is why we're so passionate about marriages. The marriage is like that, or is meant to be that safe place of unconditional love where you can mess up and learn and grow, and ideally grow together as a result of that. So yes to all of that. Very beautifully described.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of the time, Scott, and we're aware that you might have come with some key things that you really wanted the audience to understand before you left.
Mm.
What have we not covered that you'd like to say or share, or key principles, universal laws that you want to leave people
Yeah,
thinking about?
absolutely. I would say two things here. Number one, no matter where you are, things can be different tomorrow. Your today, your yesterday does not have to indicate your tomorrow.
Mhm.
And sometimes we need to hear that. I still remind myself of that because sometimes we'll get into these moments where it's like this, it's been the same stuff for 5 years, 10
Mm.
years, even longer,
25 years.
25 years
Probably,
plus,
yeah.
right? And it's like, can I really change my life? And what's important is that anything can happen in any moment, right?
Mm,
We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so if we can just take a moment to accept that idea, you open your world. But until you accept that idea, your world will be closed.
Mhm.
Entertain it, be with it, ponder it. You don't have to accept it, but ponder it first and really be in that. 'Cause then you can do everything that we're talking about today. And second, with the universal laws, it's always working for everybody all the time. It's kind of like, I'll take my phone again for anybody that's watching visually, and it's like the law of gravity, right? I drop my phone, it's going to happen for me. I think it's going to happen for you guys, right? Over in London, I'm in the US. Doesn't matter what
Yep.
country you're in.
Gravity works
gravity
here
still
too.
works.
Right? Maybe you're somewhere else and you're in Antarctica we don't know about and you're flying around. I don't know. But right, gravity works for all of us. The laws of your mind and how it works will work as well. And here's a way for those people listening in that are ready to take an action and see a result. I recommend 5 steps. Put them in super simple terms, easy to do today. Make an intention, write it down in the present tense. I just now received $200, 200 euros, 200 pounds, whatever the currency is.
Mhm.
Second step, close your eyes and go to your imagination and see a scene like a movie as with yourself already in it possession wise. See the $200-300 in your bank account already. It's increased. You see it. Step number 3, very important. You feel according to how you would feel if you already had it. So if I had maybe an extra couple $100, I'd feel, ooh, a nice little relief. That feels
Mhm.
relieving. I don't have to think about money today. Or I feel gratitude. So as you're seeing that scene, you go ahead and talk to yourself as if you're already there. Wow, look at this. I just manifested money. Wow, this feels so relieving today. So you think it as you're seeing it. After about 30 seconds, I encourage you to put headphones on with music, like a nice instrumental movie track, something that inspires you to evoke emotion. You get to step 4 and you open up your eyes and you let it go and you realize this is not magic. It's not sci-fi movie. Nothing's going to change in my world right now. But I open my eyes up realizing the bridge of events is now activated. And what that means is all of the things to get me to that couple $100 is now in motion. This is where faith comes into play. So I allow my hands up and say, let's see what happens. This is kind of fun. Let's kind of see, right? Go on with your day. And step 5 is take action. So operate your business, go all in on your job, serve people, and repeat every day for 3 different intentions. Every day. You're just doing this. You're setting your intention, you're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're letting it go. So it becomes a practice like brushing your teeth. And before you know it, you do this for 30 days, you're going to watch some very mysterious, magical, like synchronistic or coincidence style things happening. It's like, wow, something's happening here. And then it really increases your belief and faith. Like, this is kind of cool. This becomes a game like Monopoly rather than a seriousness.
Hmm.
And that's when the fun just starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that what you call your accelerated manifestation method, or is that something different?
Yes, that's the method. Yeah.
Okay.
5 core steps. And anybody could do it. It's very practical, very easy. And I remember when I first discovered like putting the steps together, I do it every day. I had so many strange things happen that's like you can't even find logical reasons why these things happened. But I
Mm.
remember writing it down. I have the logbooks, my journals with the date. And I went back, I'm like, I wrote this down like 6 months ago, word for word. And it was something simple, like I received a spiritual gift out of the blue. It was random, and it gave it to me in person. And I would have it happen. I'm like, if I never wrote that down, would it have happened? It's a fun question to ponder. So,
That's a really fun question to ponder, because the other thing is, if you don't write it down, you won't even know when these things have happened.
yeah,
You'll miss the kind of gifts of life in the moment, because you're not being intentional. Things are happening around you that you could be grateful for if only you noticed it, because you had been clear about your intentions and the direction that you want your dreams to go in, the
Yeah,
life
well,
to
I was going to say, well,
experience.
I guess writing it down means that you're serious about these intentions, and then I guess you go to work to recognize things that could make it happen, or do things that could make it happen. You mentioned Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, back in the day. I guess that's the same space that we're in here, which is you focus on something, and then I don't want to say it just happens, but things tend to fall in place, whether it's you doing things or things just happening in that regard. But if you focus on nothing, well, hey, guess what? Guess what is going to happen? Perhaps nothing.
Yeah, and I love how you said that step 4 in particular is about that faith element, and that's where I believe, as a Christian with a strong faith, you get to turbo boost what will happen with the assurance that uh God will have the final say, and it will only be good things that he will bring your way, and the rest you can just trust it will all work out because he's in control, kind of thing. So the two together for me are very inspiring, very motivating. You've reminded me that I haven't done my vision board. I haven't updated it, so I need to go back to that and make the vision plain.
yeah, yeah,
And I know if ever I mess up, he's still faithful. So
yeah,
it's all good and it's all win.
yeah.
But Scott, thank you so much for this conversation. We wish you all the best in your business. I'm sure there's lots of work that will continue in your sphere as we become more and more awakened to the life that we really want to live post-COVID. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, great entry. So if anybody just wants I like to do visual things. That's how I like to see, and that's probably my engineering background, is these practical, easy ways.
Yep,
So for
with you on
anyone
that.
that's looking for visual practical exercises, just go right on my YouTube. It's Scott Haug Official, Haug, and I got tons of drawings on there. And then second, if you're looking for more instructional, like, hey, I'm ready to just jump right into a curriculum, we have a school group called Prosperity Magnet, and that'll give you very down-to-earth, easy, practical instructions, but it's all step-by-step. So basically, you wake up every Monday morning, you have your visual, video, and then your module, and then you can keep going from there. It gives you the directions. So it's kind of nice to have some guidance. So,
And what's that one called, so we can put it in the show notes?
yep, that's school.com, SKOOL.com. That'll be / Scott Haug Official as well. The same handle, but the group will be called Prosperity Magnet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a new platform. It's really cool. It's a community platform. So you have your soul tribe there and a lot of like-minded people where we're all thinking in terms of vibration and abundance and transformation. So you get to be around people that are thinking the same terms of where you want to go. So,
You mean school.com is the tribe, and then / Scott Haug is your particular part of that?
yeah, school.com is the platform. It's kind of like what I hosted on. Yeah. And then Prosperity Magnet or Scott Haug Official is the actual group hosted on the platform.
Got you. Really useful. Wow, lots to think about and to put into action. Be clear on our intentions, bring it alive with the vision, and watch what happens as we open up to the possibilities of what could come. Really enjoyed our conversation, and here's to living more aligned on the inside and achieving in life the things that we not just dream about, but put into action to make it happen as well.
Yeah.
So from all of us, Scott, thank you. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you both. I really appreciate you.
And to our audience around the world, we say thanks for being with us yet again. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to the 4 Habits podcast. Now, if today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, take our free relationship skills quiz at the4habits.com/skills quiz to start improving your relationships today. Hit subscribe and we'll see you next time.